So, hello, YouTube. I I suspected something was up, and on my controls on the TBM, not just the TBM, but obviously all of my airplanes. And I've definitely found proof of it because this is my throttle access for the TBM. Apparently, it's not the one I created for sure. Um, because I had really worked on this sucker. And somewhere, either when I loaded the new version of X-Plane, the Vulcan version, the 11.5, whatever it is now, and or when I turned off experimental mode, I lost my axis. So I've got to recreate all of my axes. So, yeah, my controls were so ridiculously sensitive. Um, I mean, a quarter inch of movement forward or backward on the yoke meant a huge pitch change. Answer no, yes or no, or I dislike. Hello, Fredericks, what you up to? So somebody wants something here. So this is messed up. That is definitely messed up. I have to, let's see, how did I have this? I think what I did was this. No, this. This is really tricky. Let's see. So here, and then let's see. Let's add a point, and then go here, roughly like that. Something like that. What I need is some fine-tuned pitch control around 28, 28, or I need, and I need some fine pitch control up here around 100. So let's see. So let's do that, and then let's add another point, and let's push it. So I got to be real careful here. Well, I'll have to see how it goes. I'll have to try it. Answer yes or no. I guess I'll say yes. Let's see. So, and let's see. Apply. Let's try that. No. I might do that. We'll try that. Okay. And then let's go over here. Let's look at the roll axis. This I don't think I need much adjustment here, but the pitch axis, this one, I'm going to bring it down to there, and we're going to see how that goes. That's not awful. We will see. But I need it all the way up because sometimes I lose my elevator authority. I think I lost Fredericks. I hope he's okay. Let's see. So now we've got that done. It's now experiment number 1. Now I'm in Key West, and let's go to new flight, and yeah, so I've got to go back to KEYW, and I thought he was going to ask me a question, and he didn't. Key West, And where are we? That says gate. I don't want a gate. That's a good spot, I think. Confirm. All right, Key West, we're in the TBM. So now we will see. We will see. Uncalibrated. So let's open joystick. Let's see what it wants to calibrate. Calibrate now. So pitch roll. I did calibrate this and it forgot. So we will have to check. That looks backwards. Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Next, next. We can check that before we go anywhere. Okay, so might have to reverse this axis. That looks okay. That looks okay. And let's go back to here and only have one axis. Edit response curve. That looks okay. At least for now it does. So my problem is my throttle does not have the fine-tuned pitch I need it to have. And maybe there's another way to do this. But on the other hand, I'm planning on getting another throttle, probably the honeycomb, because there's two throttles that are coming out. There's the A320 throttle, which would work great. Let's see, so customize. I can go with real world time is fine. And then there's the other throttle, which is the honeycomb, which actually looks better, to be honest. Looks, I mean, I think that's a brilliant solution for anybody that flies A320, the TBM, the Zeebo, any light jet. It's typically how they set the cockpits up. We're going to see how long this takes to load. This could take quite a bit of time, but we will see, because I've just put another LUA script that I ran across, and we'll see how long it takes. Yeah, it's probably got to read some new scenery, because I've been making progress on V states, and got all the way up the East Coast, all the way across the bottom of the United States. So maybe by possibly this weekend, I'll have that all done, which will be great because I plan on taking some trips. I had said I would take a trip up the East Coast. I want to see what the New England coastline looks like. Might do what I did on the West Coast, which was fly down the coast along California. And I haven't, did I do Big Sur? I did do Big Sur. I did Big Sur in the E1000. I might do a second flight down that. But I did it really low, and I wanted to do something a little bit more realistic. I mean, it looked good. So let's see, it's still reading the new scenery files. And I have a couple. Done with preloading. Let's see what happens here. Global traffic preparing world. Let's see how long this takes. Oh, that was fast. Let's see, so I want to go no, because otherwise I'll be 3,000 feet in the air turning sideways. So let's have a look at our elevator control. I have no idea why. Let's see. Let's go with what the. Oh, what am I looking at? Oh, that's right. So yeah, that's right. So see, that looks like it's too much. See, my elevator stops moving long before I get. See, for pull up, it's fine. So what does that mean? You know, so pushing, I only have. Let's see, I'm gonna move that, and that's where it is right there. I'm gonna back out. I've got an inch. And for pulling, it goes all the way to the end. It's kind of right though, because the real TBM yoke has a lot of back pull and a little bit of forward, just like the E1000. So yeah, I'll have to deal with that. But okay, so forward, I don't know. Well, we'll try it. We'll get it up in the sky and we'll see what happens. We might have to stop and make some adjustments. What about aileron? Aileron, that looks good for now. Okay, all right. Let's have a look at the throttle. Well, kind of hard to do that. Well, all right. And we will try that up in the sky too, but it does slow down. You see that, how slow that's moving up there at the top? But that's practically useless because that's where the throttle is up above 100%. So let's go here, edit response curve, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to add another point like that. The guys over at Hot Start will be on the verge of screaming right now. But we will see. We will see how that works. And I'm going to move this out. Okay, so let's try that. And really, honestly, oh, wait a second. This isn't right. Let's add. Pretty weird looking, huh? Okay, so let's click done. Oh yeah. Let's see how that does. It's really slow right there. Wow, that's slow. And let's go here. I don't need that much fine control right there. I need it right around this area. So we'll have to try that out when we're descending. So we might have some adjustments to make. But yeah, one last look at that. Take one last look. So weirdest response curve ever. I'm actually going to move this a little bit. This should give me fine control on my throttle in the range from about 20. What I'm looking for is fine control in the range from about 20 to about 35 or so, 30, 35. And then again, I want fine control up around 90. I could make this smaller actually, but it needs to be 90 and above because you can very easily, if you have the TBM, if you fly it, you will see yourself trying to not go above 100%, and it's really kind of tough. And that's because our throttles just aren't as good as the real TBM throttles. So not much we can do about that. So let's, yes, it's complaining. Of course it is. All right, so now we're ready. So let's see, I had a flight plan. Do I still have it? Yes, I do. And let's check our fuel. Let's see, we'll remove chocks and set the brakes. We'll go to payload and take this stuff off. And let's see how much fuel we got. We got 70 gallons. So I'm just going to put in 90 gallons per side. That's enough. I don't need to recalculate it. Yeah, I had 85 last night. Unless I've got a vicious wind, I don't think I'll need it. All right. Yeah, if I deleted the video from last night, but it was a disaster. This airplane it went nutso, and you could not keep it level. It was shaking and going side to side. I was doing 190 knots. There was no reason for it whatsoever. 190 knots, and airplane was completely unstable. I think my sim just got borked. So, yep. So, airports. Let's KEYW. This will be an experiment. We'll see what happens. Why not? Airport. And so we've got that. Let's have a look at the weather. I haven't even looked. Oh. Well, we will use the weather radar somewhat. There's some weather here. This could get dangerous. My experience is that the green stuff is nothing to worry about. The yellow stuff is a little bit to worry about. It'll show up on the weather radar as green. This red stuff it will mess you up. We are going up here to St. Pete. So actually, let me put that in. KEYW and to PIE. And if you haven't seen, this is going to be my first flight into St. Pete since I fixed it. I didn't write this scenery. We're actually going this way, like this. So we might end up in this. Both, Christopher. I don't fly TBMs real world. Well, actually, I haven't flown in 17, 18 years now. Actually, a little longer than that. But I used to fly Pipers and Cessnas, that sort of a thing. I was working on my instrument license when I quit. But I'm just a VFR pilot. I've learned much of what I know on simming. So, in fact, one of the reasons I wanted to get my pilot's license is because I enjoyed simming so much, if you can believe that. So it's a lot more cost effective. So yeah, that's a true story. So yeah, there's our flight plan. Right there. How about you? You a real pilot? Or you sim? Let's shut stuff off. No. Oh, what caused that? Don't know. Okay, that's back. Switches are off.
Traffic 79 Bravo is turning final 18.
I'm not even, well, I'll look at VATSIM. I was on VATSIM last night when the weird stuff started happening. And like 1 minute after I departed, oh wow, there is a controller. Do I want to do that? No, I'm not going to do that because I may be screwing around with my stuff. But I may later, so if I've got time. It's 8 o'clock now, at my time.
Aural warning, okay.
Okay. We're all set to go. Nav strobe.
Traffic, Cessna 3 miles east, landing runway 17.
All right.
TOS system test, okay.
And okay, so 1002. Starter ignition, oil pressure.
Traffic, Cessna's out of 45 for runway 17.
NG. And I'm gonna guard this. Light off. It looks good. .30 by 30.
Traffic, Sears 512, Charlie,
And cut out.
Gresham Ranch West neighborhood, runway 17.
And let's get the inertial separator on. Get that there. That there. We will check the generator. Good.
Traffic, Sears 6034 on short final, runway 17.
Good. Good. Leads. And AC temperature here is a balmy. Actually, it's not bad. 15. Not bad. Simmer, still in school, doing well, have mostly A and B grades, gonna go into military in 3 years and take pilot education there because it's free. Yeah, it would be. Where are you gonna do that? And what do you want to fly? Let's see, so
Traffic, Sears 512, Charlie, Papa, taxi runway 17.
check. Pillar starter throttle, check starter engine parameters. Look perfect. Electrical network. I should have actually checked the engine parameters. Flight, or the engine before I did this. Fuel selection. Generators are checked, AB trims, oxygen.
Traffic, Sears 512,
I forget the oxygen.
momentary back taxi on
Check,
runway
check,
17.
check,
We will
check.
depart at
Pressure
17
mode is
final
normal.
site.
Control, hot airflow, standby instruments. Let's see. Altimeter. F-35 and 737 or Dash 8 Q100, the short one. I've always liked those airplanes. I would like them more than the Dash 8 400. F-35, wow. The big difference between a 737 and F-35, right?
Traffic, Sears 512, Charlie, Papa, upwind
3001. It's already 3001. Check menu. Actually, reset checklist, reset all checklists. I didn't know that menu was there. Let's go.
Traffic, Sears
Flight plan
512, Charlie, Papa, right crosswind, runway 17.
is empty. Okay, so Corgi. If I wasn't doing this experiment, I would join the folks over in VetSim, and like I said, I may. After this flight, I'll feel better about it. Okay.
Traffic here is 512. Charlie Papa is departing the area on the high right downwind runway 17, leaving 3,000 feet.
Carter,
Right downwind, Carter.
RSW. RSW. And St. Pete.
Traffic, Cessna 74, Whiskey November, it's about
PIE.
8 miles to the east.
This is right out of sim brief, so normally I would just leave that off, but I'm not gonna. KPIE. Let's see. And there's no SID or star either end, so that's it. I'm taking off runway 9 here and landing 36 there. So runway 9, I believe is 093. Yep, 093. Heading.
Traffic, plane 872 with a glider in tow, departing runway 17 to the west.
So I'm curious, are those the airplanes that you fly in the sim? The 730, are those three, or do you fly others, or something else? Because obviously you could get the Zebo for free. I think there's an F30, I'm not sure if there's an F-35. I think there is, there may be, but it's new, or it's being previewed. I saw it recently. I need to fix that. I want to do an AP test. Yep, that works. Okay. So we are all set. Let's go back to the checklist. LFE is 9 at St. Pete. Altimeter is checked. Pitch. Trim is set, and de-ice panel is fine. Pressure separator is already on. Nope. Okay, so taxi light on. Check passenger briefing, parking brake. Okay, so these things, CAS looks good, and LFE next. Alright, so let's see.
Traffic, Cessna 74, Whiskey November.
We should not be on Unicom.
17.
We should be on departure ground. Well, let's make sure. Okay, so ground clearance delivery and tower is 118.2.
Delta 44 Heavy, you're going to follow the LAN or the SAM, I'm not sure what it says. The 787, cross runway 13 left at Whiskey, Mountain Tower 12349. Follow left hand.
2 and departure frequency is, I guess, Miami Center. Well, it could be Navy Key West, actually, 124.025. Find fighter jet super fun. There's always low passing at my hometown, either an F-16 or an F-35. Yeah, I was in the military myself, and I was an air traffic controller, wasn't a pilot. And I was at one base where we had F-16s and F-5s. Sadly, there's no Dash AQ100, only the 400. Still, it's experience. Have you heard someone is developing one? But I've never come. I have no experience with the fighter jets. Yeah, I thought I saw an F-35 maybe a week ago somewhere, but I don't know whether it was for paired or for X-plane. Let me have a look. F-35. Yep, it's for X-Plane. And if you go to FS Elite and search in their search bar for the F-35A Lightning II, it's under preview right now. When you know, and how long does it take before that comes out? And there's actually a YouTube video. I haven't looked at it myself. All right, so let's see. Let's look at this real quick. My initial altitude last night he gave me 3,000, so we will. Oops, wrong thing. What am I doing? Wrong way to adjust your altitude. We'll take 3,000 again. And his initial heading actually last night was 360, so we'll do that. We'll go, instead of taking the runway heading 093, but we'll do 360. And then we can go direct. Corgi. So we will do flight plan, select Corgi, and I don't know why that's pointing to the south. I have no idea. We'll find out. I think the best, if you want to fly fighter jets, is DCS. Yeah, probably, almost certainly. I don't know, I've never done DCS. Let's see, my taxi light is on. See, that's real fine control right there. I'll have to see what it's like. I was having problems with all of my controls. Well, really primarily my yoke on my last flight, so I'm trying to fix it tonight. So you're getting A's and B's in school. When I was in high school, I got an occasional A, a fair number of B's, a lot of C's, occasional D, one F right at the very end. I really didn't care, and the people I knew didn't care either. And when I went to college, I got all A's. I got one A minus in all the years I went to college. One A minus, and the rest were all solid A's. I cared. Big difference. So we'll have to see how this throttle works. So far, at least I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, Blue Games plays DCS. I've watched his videos, a little bit of them anyway. They're really making some leaps and bounds in that. Have you? I'm assuming you have that. They were giving it away like a month ago, a little over a month ago. Alright, so let's stop here. We've got some things to do. Alright, parking brake is on. Flight idle. That's not good. That's not good at all. My prop governor appears to be broken. bet you I can't go into the maintenance manager. I can't. Of all things to happen right now.
Ground Delta 150. Yes, ma'am. You said give way to the American Emperor, but then you didn't give me instructions what he's going to do to get to 25 right after that.
You know what? I'm gonna click that.
Delta Romeo, hold short of Charlie, Delta 150, thanks. Okay, after the 7-3, way to push, tail east, 4 left, so 12.
That is broken. Is there anything I can do? Lord. I got a D. Was it for flying got a D or F if I remember right in the secondary language in Norway, which no one talks and no one cares about and everyone hates it?
Southwest 684 is with you going to H Bravo.
In the secondary language, really? But you're getting
Echo, Ultra Delta 9.
B's and A's now. So, what language did you have to learn? Obviously not English because you're really good at that.
247 ground, runway 24 left, follow the Emperor off your left to the north.
Weirdly, this is not going to fix itself. So, okay. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to shut that down.
Delta to the gate, Southwest 5052, keep speed up.
Alright.
Delta, got it, Southwest 5052.
And we're going to sit here and what am I going to do? I'm going to wait for the engine to shut down. I'm going to go engine. Open engine. Prop governor, there it is. Service replace, runtime 46 hours. There it is. And just like that, I'm fixed, sitting right here by the runway. We have the greatest mechanics. I'm trying to learn Spanish. I live in America, and I was angry at myself for not knowing a second language very well. So I've decided that I'm going to learn Spanish. So my ITT came down, so I can go ahead and restart. So let's go. Let's shut that down. Shut that down. Is there anything I have to shut down? I shut this down, shut the inertial separator off. Alright. I thought I was going to have to do a dry motoring, and I don't have to. I don't think so. Let me make sure. Yes, I don't have to. So we are there. And I have to shut the generator off. Now let's go here. 1002. Start our ignition, oil pressure, NG is coming up.
Going 24 left, your pushback is approved. 24 left, pushback approved, Skyway 4980. 1564 monitor tower, 120.95. 3095 today, don't 54.
Cut out. There's the separator back on. And back on. No. Generator back on. Alright. Oxygen's already on. Leads, AC. And we should be good to go. So now we can... That's what's supposed to happen. There is something called Norsk, which was used back in the 90s. Really, in the 90s? You mean the 1990s? Okay, so flaps down. Check the flight controls. God, man. What I'm having to go through for this airplane. You really gotta like this airplane if you do this. Let's see. And, which I do. I want to do head anticipation and roll. I want to turn that way down. So I'm sitting there trying to adjust the dials in and it's moving the cockpit around. Okay, so flight controls are set. The throttle is good. Check, check, check. Flight controls. Trims are set. Belts, tables, strobe switch is on. Cast display is checked. Fuel gauges look good. Altimeter 3001. LFE is 9. And we're going to rotate at 85 degrees. And our amps are 10, less than 50. Turn. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to customize this. Apply changes. I'm going to make it a little bit earlier. I flew late last night. I'm not going to do that. Not so late tonight. 1885. I typed wrong. Okay. Yeah, it was that long ago, and the language died in that amount of time. Just I have to wonder how long all this internet language will last. Someday we'll say the word internet, or our grandkids will say the word internet to somebody, and they'll go, "What? What's an internet?" You know. It may be that it doesn't exist then, or even TV. Think about those things. Technology changes. You know, telephone? What is a telephone? Alright, so lights, icing, flaps are set. Transponder, alt, and switches. Parking brake off, toga. I'll be real curious to see how this throttle goes.
So 1585, you're going to wait for company opposite direction on Yankee. They're going to Bravo 17. Behind them, back to the 31 center via Yankee.
So we depart, right turn to 360, and then direct to Corky. That's the plan. Now, before I do that, holding the brakes, and we're going to check how this throttle adjusts in the 28 range.
We're now ready for push for Bravo 10 West Quebec. 441. Our discretion 141.
It's not awful, but let's make a little adjustment here. Edit, and I want to move this over and move that a little higher and over.
Compass 522 for push Bravo 3 Romeo. 522 to departure frequency 133.
See how much that's moving? I really want 28.
522. Just verify it's 31 center 522.
Edit response curve. sensitive, but it's close. That's pretty good. We'll go with that for right now. Why is... Okay. That's all right. Gear up. Yoke feels better tonight. And I'm going to get into their airspace, so flaps up, yaw damper on. Still a little sensitive in the pitch. We will adjust that shortly. It's not as bad as it was. Let's see that. But you can see that's a quarter inch of movement either way. Like on my grandparents see TV when we talk about a monitor. Yeah. You know, think about how much things change during their lifetime. A lot. Okay, we'll try that. I may make some adjustment here. I don't remember if I had anything lower. Okay, so let's go way down. Let's see what happens there. It's still... Well, it's better than it was last night, that's for sure. Well, it's still pretty... Shouldn't be that much. Stay level here for a second. Pitch. I want to do this. I want to do that. And really not much else I could do. You would think with that little bit. Well, that's a lot better. Certainly better than last night. It's better. It needs work, but it's better. Actually, it's a little bit overdone. And let's flitch. That's better. My roll may have, definitely have to pull quite a bit for that pitch. And my roll is a little bit, not quite enough. Hold on. Let's go back to roll.
I'll get a full time to DSO.
Let's go there. Better, much better. I mean, it's still needs some work, I think. I think I need to add some more to the pitch. All right. Read the installation guide, which problems with the Zevo and tried fresh installed by computer, explain, etc. I didn't know it needed the Microsoft redistributable. Talking about the .NET framework. Lights off, call flaps off, we can shut the taxi light off, and throttle up. That actually gives me really good control of the throttle now. Probably the best I've ever had. Yeah. I didn't know that. I must have already had them on my machine because I didn't do that. When this thing settles down, I'm going to add some more pitch authority back in. Not a lot, but the airplane's behaving tonight. I do fly the Zevo about, lately it's been about half my time. You know, it's hard not to. Such a well-done airplane. And we're landing 3-6, so I'm gonna go here. Alright, let's get rid of that. PIE. Let's go approach. Put in the ILS 36. Sarasota VOR. I can fly over the top of Sarasota. Glitch. forward to getting a new throttle. Are you flying the beta? The 11.5? I fly it with the experimental model on, and I probably will from now on because, you know, Zibo can shut that off inside their FDE at some point, and I don't see a lot of difference. You know, maybe there's a difference, but I don't see it. Too sensitive now on the upper end. Nothing to see here. Oh, there's Florida. Active sky is not turned on. Let's turn that on. That's right. Yeah, I don't know. Zibo being a freeware, I'm not sure they're going to be willing to do that. It's a great freeware, probably the best freeware I've ever seen. Let's see, so we need to set that. Did that not work? That doesn't work over there. Huh. I'm not going to report that as a bug. What an airplane. When I get up to altitude, I'm going to add a little bit more pitch authority in because I think it's a little bit too low. And then we'll see how I do on the landing. So Sarasota VOR is the initial approach fix out there. It's 2,000 feet. But I've got to be at zones at 2,000 feet, which is about 6 miles. So I'm going to say 10 miles out, I'm going to be at 2,000 feet. Which is this, there's a free Max series. Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Not so sure I'd be real thrilled about flying the Max. There's a free 700 series and 900 series. I've got it somewhere. I kind of like the 700 series. If I was flying to Hawaii, I'd probably do the 900 series, even though an 800 would make it. Hey, guy. Pilot guy. You're thinking about buying the TBM, huh? Too much to resist for you? It's a beautiful airplane. You could buy 2 airplanes, or you could buy the TBM. But personally, I think the TBM is like 3 airplanes. Because if you buy a Coronado, you'll have to buy another Coronado because you'll be dissatisfied with the first one you got. And then you might end up buying another Coronado, so that'd be like 3 airplanes. And you could have just bought the TBM and saved the money. And yeah. Didn't they hack the Zibo to make the Max though? That's what I thought. That's what they did, I think, with the 900 and the 700. Pretty sure. Let's see, so I want to... Okay, I'm going to up this. What am I doing? There we go. Look at that. Right in there. I'm going to do one little change here to my pitch. Just a tiny bit. We'll try that. We'll try the landing with that. Yeah, not the Zebo yet tonight. Maybe later, but still practicing those visual approaches. I did a visual approach into Phoenix the other day that went pretty well. Floated for a while, but it was a good landing. Just further down the runway than I'd hoped. But the visual went really well. You can go over there and critique it if you like. Christopher, Pilot Guy 707 is a real world 737 pilot. So, and if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see Christopher. That's one of the airplanes that he wants to fly when he joins the military. So I'm going to do a little bit of descent planning here. Flight plan, KPIE, and St. Pete, VOR, I believe, is right near on the airport. Clear. There it is right there. Let's do an offset minus, no, clear. Offset. Minus 8. Let's do minus 10. Enter, and it took it. 28,000, the engines are slow. All data, and if you don't handle it well, you get failures and stuff, right? That is correct. Now let me put my headset on because it's kind of loud here. Yeah, that is correct. The TBM has a memory. It remembers. If you get a little FOD in the engine, it remembers. And sometimes it's going to have failures anyway. Tonight, for example, I got out to the runway and I did my prop governor test and it failed. So I had to shut down, and I've got the most miraculous mechanics in the world. They came out and they repaired it on the spot. But yeah, you can open up the engine two different ways. Over here there's a control panel. You can open up all the maintenance stuff and it'll tell you what needs to be repaired. Of course, I knew it was the prop governor, so yeah, all I had to do was click on it and it automatically repaired it. Cost me, I think, $45,000 in virtual dollars. And so there's three kinds of failures. There's pseudo-random ones, which are pretty rare. There's ones that where you actually caused a problem yourself by just misbehaving, and then there's just wear and tear ones. And they don't happen all at once sometimes. Sometimes they do. I've had a generator failure, so there's the generator resets right there. And I've had an in-flight engine fire one time. That was a long time ago, though. That was right after I got the generator failure. And since then, they've been tuning the failures that you get in the airplane. And, oh, I never put in 2000. So, time to top of descent, 8 minutes. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. You'll see. And the coolest thing about the airplane, I would say, is that the dev is always on Discord. I mean, uh, 16 hours a day sometimes, and he answers questions. Him, and there's a real world TBM pilot on there too. Can't remember what his name is, but if I go to Discord right now, see if either or both of them are on. Where is it? There it is. Yeah, the dev support guy is always on. The guy, the systems dev is Toto Rico, and then the TBM pilot is Subsonic Pilot. So yeah. Yeah, it kind of does feel that way. I'll say this though, the flight model is one of the best I've ever seen. The graphics, you know, it really does have a good airplane feel to it. There are a couple that I would put in the same league. I'd have to really think about that though. It flies pretty close to the numbers. Like I said, I think he had a real world pilot guiding him when he was developing it. I hope he has the same thing when he's developing his Challenger 650. One of the most realistic. Yeah, it is. It's, at least as far as I know. They've got some new airplanes coming out, and he's got a Challenger 650 he's working on. But I think it's the most complete. It's got the most complete G1000 of any airplane in X-Plane. It doesn't have systems pages, unfortunately, but maybe they'll do a 2.0 and do that. But it's got weather radar. So it's got two kinds of weather radar actually. It's got go here and go next rad. You may see some rain out of that stuff over there. We may be up above it though. Yeah, we kind of are. And then it's also got weather radar here. You go here, you can turn it to weather or ground. Oh, okay. So it should click on. There it goes. And you can tilt the antenna, and it's pretty good. So if you go like this, you can tilt it down. So there's weather below you or above you. And you can also, you can look left or right. And let's see, how do you, there's a way to, no. The radar. No, I'm doing the wrong thing. There's also a way to, oh, here we go. Go click vertical. So now you're looking at the vertical ring. So I don't know if that's rain right there or not, but maybe it is because there is some rain in this area. But we're up here. Then you can turn the gain up or down. I don't know what watch does. Pretty cool. Let's see, so it's down, so let me go up. Yeah, so you can see the rain right there. If I go up, it will disappear. So I'm going to shut that back off, otherwise I'll forget to shut it off. It shuts itself off when the nose wheel touches down. And there's nothing to see on the ground, so let's just shut that off. So yeah, that's just some of the stuff. And then it's also, if you notice, it's got, what's it called? PFD, synthetic vision, which a couple of airplanes now have. This one and the Pocket Rocket both have this version. So amongst other things, it's got that. But I mean, if you look at, I don't know if you can see this very well, but I'll zoom in here so you can see how good the graphics are, like on that knob and on this handle. In bright light, you can see finger smudges, what looks like finger smudges. So I don't want to talk it up too much. It is a sim. It's got its limitations, but it's, you know, as sim planes go, there's only one airplane I think I've enjoyed flying more, and that is, or as much. I'm not going to say more because that would, but the I used to fly the Turbine Duke by Real Air over on Prepare 3D. I just love that plane, even with its flaws. And they all have flaws of some kind. Almost everything is implemented, except for COM2. For some stupid reason, I don't know why, he has not implemented COM2. The keypad works really, really well. Which is some, I mean, this is the best one. I've only seen like three airplanes that have the keypad working. And those don't work as well. Let's see, so I need to set 2000. Actually, I need to put my approach in. And VNAV. So yeah, this is all pretty nasty weather here, isn't it? What else works? Much of this stuff that here, let's see, okay, so it has only a power handle, so has a FADEC, yes, but it does not have an auto throttle. It has a FADEC, but not an auto throttle, and there's not that much wrong. You could do the engine, right? Yeah, you'll see. Well, the trick is, you have to know the heat limits on the ITT. Like if I've had, when I first got it, I must have gotten 10 hot starts in about a 2-month period. There's a procedure and you got to follow it. The good news is this is one of the few airplanes that has the checklist right here. So it's not difficult. But when you're new to this plane, I guess you make more mistakes than others. But I did make a fair number of mistakes, embarrassingly. And you also, if you start the engine and shut it down, this ITT slowly, actually it goes up and then it goes down. And you have to wait till it gets down here somewhere, I don't remember the exact number, to restart the engine. Otherwise you'll get a hot start that way. And a lot of the problems I had was because X-plane would crash or something, you know, and I had problems then, which they've continued to update. But yeah, there's rules with that. If you don't shut the airplane down at the end of your flight, have a nice flight to Key West. Actually, I'm going to St. Pete. But yeah, you have a good night. There's other things. I'll just say this. You know, it's an expensive airplane. but it will save you money because you'll spend so long flying it. You just really won't be tempted to buy anything else for a good long time. That's been my experience with it, and I'm picky. So, have a good night. Select approach, and we're doing the ILS 36, and we'll use SRQ and minimums.
Jordan 735, free runway 28, taxi via Tango uniform.
Tango uniform at 28, turn 7353.
210. Load that. And then let's go to flight plan. So it's 2,000 feet. I don't know what that means. D minus 14. Oh, it's here. That's what that is.
Ground JetBlue 626 Delta 2, information X push.
JetBlue 626 ground, push your discretion, East Foxtrot.
Push your discretion, we'll grab 5.
So yeah, we will have to see. We will have to see. I've got to set my approach in. Otherwise, I'm gonna be. Let's see. So throttle back a little bit. Actually, I usually throttle down to about 50. I'm still doubting because the price is still a bit high for me to use an X-Wing, but it's nice that you actually get into trouble if you do things the wrong way. Yeah, and you get rewarded if you don't. So I will say if it's a choice between this airplane and another one, I would wait until you got this one. I mean, it's just been my experience. I've got other airplanes which I'd be happy to go through with you, and I could talk about all the pluses and minuses of all of them. There's it depends on what you want. Sometimes there's like the DA62 is a great airplane, a little heavy on frames, doesn't have a keypad, but you know that's you have to pay extra for that in the real DA62. Let's see, any of the Coronados you won't be satisfied for very long. It's just a cycle of buying one airplane after another. The Aerobasks tend to keep people happier, and they're cheap, pretty cheap. I've got the E1000, which I think needs some work, but it's still a good airplane. I like to go sightseeing in it because it's got great visibility. Wait, 7. KPIE VOR. Okay, so that's set. And heading is set. I'm going to go heading mode. Back, go CDI. Set my course to 356. 356. Yeah, the KEYW 350, I've got that one too. You know, that would be a good conversation to talk about those two airplanes. It would be. You know, I've got a friend that swears by the KEYW 350. He's also got the TBM, and you know, he'd be a good one. The 350, as much as I do get in it from time to time to try to see if I can get over a frustration hump I have with that airplane, it hasn't clicked with me yet. possibly it will. But the autopilot is very unusual. But there are some decent tutorials that get you through the basics. And there are some mods. There's nav mods that you can put a GTN 750 in it, but you got to pay extra for that. So the airplane itself, with its default stuff, which isn't bad, and it does have weather radar. But it's the default X-plane nav system with a custom autopilot. So, you know. But yeah, interesting airplane. Go look at, of course, I'm trying to think of where you could ask and get unbiased opinions between those two airplanes. I like twins. I like twins too. I'm a nut about them actually. I've got the Coronado Cheyenne that sometimes I just can't resist taking that airplane up. I keep trying to swear it off. And I never completely successfully do because I've got this thing for flying twins. Well, yeah, if you don't know a G1000, this one will challenge you for a while. It's and I don't know if, well, you might like the 350, but it's the default X-plane FMS in it. So that is a challenge, and the autopilot is weird, so that'll be a challenge. And there's not a lot of training that you can find on it, by the way. So that's a challenge too. But it's cool, and I mean, if you go over and watch Q8 Pilot's video on the 350 and the TBM, you'll see that he likes both airplanes a lot. Those may be his top two picks. Not that he's ever put them in any particular order, but he does some pretty unbiased reviews. On YouTube, it's the Q, the number 8, and then Pilot. I was going to set my altimeter. I don't have to, it's 3001. Used to fly the DA4040 with the G1000, so I'm used to the okay. So without the keypad too. So yeah, so the other one will be probably more of a challenge. There's Florida. 44 frames. What a view, huh? Yeah, and if you haven't flown an X-plane with the G1000, this one's pretty accurate. It's missing a couple of things, not counting the systems pages. Hardly anybody has systems pages. But normally if you go right, so if you go flight plan and you go all the way to the right, you would see systems pages over here. It doesn't have any, unfortunately. It does have a couple of things down here where you can look at your electrical system, your fuel system, generators, general, but there's nothing. I mean, what are you looking at there? But no summary page or anything like that. Okay, so I gotta get rid of that.
Or ground air transport 3760.
Okay, what did I do?
Air transport 3760, heading for Alpha, your discretion, Anus Foxtrot.
Back. What did I do? Did I bork something? Oh, there we go. Yeah, you get the TBM's POH, or man, you do get the TBM POH. You do. They provide a link to it. It's actually already available on the whatchamacallit website, the DAR website. They just provide a link to it. For whatever reason, you know how some companies, like trying to find a King Air 350 POH can be a real pill. What I may have something, but you know, I don't know why, but the companies are fairly stingy with POHs, but not DAR. You go to their website, it's right there. DAR, is that how you pronounce it? Using correct procedures and speeds. There are real-world TBM pilots. You've probably heard of Stevio, and then there's another guy who's who has several training videos on how to do departures properly, how to use how to manage speed properly, different speeds for different power settings, and also get some from the guy Subsonic Pilot on the Discord. You can ask him questions. He you know, gives folks information. In fact, between him and the Deb, I follow the procedures they gave me when I do my landings. You get the TVs. Yeah, I'm kind of a nut about using the proper procedure. Coming in up here at about 190, and then dropping to below 178, applying the first notch of flaps, approaching the glide path, putting the gear down, and then at 1,000 feet AGL, dropping the second notch of flaps, landing around 85, 86 knots, stuff like that. Way similar to the, you know, the Boeing. I don't think you know, some ways. Some airplanes you put them down to full flaps when you start the approach, but you know, not that many of them, I guess. Some airplanes, I don't know. But this one flies the approach at about 110, I think. If you watch Stevio, he explains his procedures while he's doing them, and they're fun videos to watch too. But he flies an 850 with steam gauges. But Stevio, when he flies on X-plane, he flies this one. And I've seen where one of his videos he flew a TBM900 that had a I think it was a Garmin G3000, and it had an auto throttle. In fact, that's really the biggest change in between the 900 and the 930 is the auto throttle. So you just click the auto throttle, and it when you're on the runway, and it just goes full throttle. Kind of takes the fun out of it. A little of the fun, not much. And then, you know, if you want other challenges, there's they're coming out with a Challenger 650 and a that's Hot Start is. Then Aerobesc is coming out with a What are they coming out with? Something good. It's another light jet. They both have a pretty solid reputation when it comes to making airplanes. I'd like to get one that has Collins system in it, like a citation. Some of the citations have a Collins system. All right, we're just about clear of their airspace. Not that it matters. Prague. Activate approach. Enter. Yeah, I like to do IFR, in this airplane especially, without GPS overlay. Well, then, you know, that's without a GPS completely. Well, you know, I mean, the Cheyenne, you know, I don't know if you want the Cheyenne or not. You can go back and look at some of my older videos on the Cheyenne. It flies by the numbers. 42 torque down final. Flies really nice. It's got beautiful sounds. It's just that typically I would start it out on the runway, because that's where its weakest points are. Well, its weakest points are the startup procedures and stuff like that. Coronado never finishes an airplane, unfortunately. Does it have ADF? I have to check. I know it has it, but does it work? I'll have to. Yeah, over in Europe, I understand why you're asking that. I will have to check. Very nearly speeding there. It does have an RMI. So, and as far as I can tell, the RMI works. I don't use it that often. I used to use an RMI to fly arcs. And it does have DME. And it does have a GTN or a GNS 530 in it. So I am going to activate the approach. This is going to be a little boring right here. I hope it's going to be boring after last night. But yeah, I would think that they'd have NDB in the RMI. And they do have an NDB control, but I need to verify that it actually works. In general, everything for flying works in it. It was one of the Thranda airplanes. So, yeah, Thranda did a pretty decent job. Alright, so we're still 2,000 feet. And I believe this is our intercept altitude. And our missed approach altitude is 2,000, so our missed approach altitude is set. Oh, that's that. I'm going to shut that off. I could do conventional navigation. It overshot itself. KEYW, is that correct? Yes, it is. So there's that. approach is armed. Missed approach altitude is set. Minimums are set. Now looking at navigation display, not using the GPS, but VOR, NDB, ILS instead. Yeah, I don't do that often. You know, that's interesting. I do, you know, I always fly with some sort of a GNS. But God, that would be a heck of a challenge. I guess, you know, if you had VATSIM or IVAO, I don't know which one you fly on or if you fly on either. I think you fly on VATSIM. It wouldn't be so bad. But trying to do it just by yourself, oof. There's my localizer. Where are you going? That's not what I wanted you to do. Let's disengage the approach and re-engage it. There we go. So I'm going to put my first notch of flaps down. Yeah, I mean, if you were getting vectored to here or there, I used to do that with the another airplane you might look at is if you want to I mean, it's older now, but the Jetstream 32, which is over on X Aviation's website. It's the same place the TBM is sold. I used to fly the J41, the Jetstream 41, and I loved flying that airplane. In training in flight school, we did all kinds of conventional navigation training with the G1000. Yeah, you could do it. It's got, you know, ADF right here, and let's see. So, and then you can go to the PFD and bring up bearing 1, bearing 2, and DME. NDB approaches. I've never done an NDB approach. I've done VOR. They don't have nearly as many NDBs in the US as they used to, not like Europe. But yeah, those teardrop approaches. Oh, no, wrong thing. Okay, so here I usually set about somewhere between 35 and 40 power on the torque. And I'll cut off the autopilot because I don't want it to be too boring and I want to see how this yoke is now. Okay.
What do you need to, that 7-3 coming down, Delta,
I had to redo all my controls. Something I did wiped out all of my control curves. And this is still a little messed up, but maybe I can get used to it like this. So yeah, I need to be below 128 right here. And when I get down to 1,000 feet AGL, which is right at about 1,000 feet, then I put the last notch in and sort of dive to hold the glide slope.
ground southwest 346 for 17 Alpha, we have India ready push. Southwest 346 ground, I got traffic inbound, so hold those again to call you back. Roger.
Yeah, I love to fly this airplane doing ILSs. One night I was on VATSIM and I got the controller to vector me around for a couple practice approaches at Savannah. That was fun. I'd like to do that again. It's hard to get hard IFR though. I guess I could, you know, I could make it. I've got some weather setups someplace to like in Jacksonville. I've got a hard IFR set up there that I've done with Active Sky, but you could do without Active Sky too. I wanted it thick, like 6,000 feet of clouds. That's what I did. Okay, so I need to put my last notch in. I never did. talking instead of flying.
Delta 1649,
See, that's still too sensitive on the throttle right there.
Is it 32 or 33 set?
I was doing so well.
33, yeah, good traffic inbound. Yeah, give me a second. And what was your call sign again? Delta 1649, we're standing by, gate 133.
That would have been a go around if I'd have been IFR.
Good approach now, expect runway 25 right.
See, things are still a little bit too sensitive. This is a freeware airport.
Minimum.
Dive in for the runway. Give me a break. I've got to work on these controls still. I'm getting them closer. They're certainly a lot better than they were.
Airspeed.
Better than it was. Last night I couldn't control the airplane at all.
That's 4304, I've got taxi Delta to the gate. Delta to the gate.
Yeah, this is actually not a bad rendition. I've been to St. Pete. And I mean, look at that, that's freeware. Lights off, icing, flaps, transponder. Oh, it's already off.
758 X-ray Juliet from
We're good.
Signature. Proceed to Atlantic. Are you familiar?
Yes, ma'am, via Alpha.
Yep, via Alpha.
Got it, thank you.
Signature, no. One of those. I'm not sure if it's signature. It's right over here.
Ground Southwest. 346, ready to taxi, officer 17. Southwest 346, stand by.
There it is.
Southwest 346, follow the United RJ off the left side, echo to runway 24 left. Follow
Taxi
United
right
RJ,
on.
echo 24 left, Southwest 346.
Yeah, thanks. Nice touchdown. Pretty crappy approach after I put the flaps on. Final flaps. I was all over the frickin' place. Better though. You know, last night I couldn't. You know, I just couldn't. I couldn't get this airplane. When I did something to my sim, I don't know what it was. I installed something and it wiped out all my curves. So I'm in the process of fixing them. So you're using a joystick, if I remember correctly, which might actually work better. Park and brake, taxi light off. Icing systems are off. I never turned my friggin'.
I was 5025 Charlie 10 going to
Another thing about this airplane is when you shut it down for the night, you got to remember to put all the covers back on it. Otherwise, you may get a hot start the next morning. That's a random failure that they have. Happened to me once. But all the checklists are here. So even the emergency procedures are right there. And then the CAS message, which you get some weird ones. Let's see, so. No, I actually don't. I just want to do that. And after landing. Check, 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 check. Radar's off, transponder's fine. Oh, transponder's not fine. Flaps are up.
South 50, 25, gonna taxi Echo. And Delta 8, Delta
Strobe
50.
switches off.
Echo Delta 8, Delta 8,
Check, check. Lights off. Trims. I'll do another flight in this thing.
Southwest 45th, southbound afternoon, straight ahead, Charlie, Sierra, and the North Route.
I'll do some more adjustments to it.
Sierra, North Route, Southwest 40.
Parking brake is on. Bleed switch off. AC off. And I never started the friggin' timer. You gotta give it 2 minutes before you shut the engine down, or you will get a hot start the next morning. Throttle, taxi light, AP trims. So now I sit here for 1 minute and 40 seconds or so. You know, it's better tonight, Gene. Gene was on last night when I was having all the trouble. Our 737 pilot is on again. We were talking about it. He's thinking about getting the TBM. Why don't you give him your opinion of the TBM while we're at it? Since I'm sitting here trying to explain all this stuff to him, give him your opinion. Tell him what other airplanes you got. Yeah, it's flying better. Not perfect, but I found out today that it in fact had wiped out my curves. Got a minute ago. I had this one curve, which was different than the one I have in here now, but it was on my throttle. I had it something similar to this. Is actually a lot different, but it was kind of similar to this in some ways. Since I need a lot of throttle control, I'm going to move this. I need a lot of throttle control here. Thank you. Yeah, I made a donation to some folks. They actually sent me a letter. I need a lot of throttle control up at the top, you know, fine-tune control, and a lot down around 28. So this is sort of what I'm doing. I don't, you know, I'm hardly ever in this area. I'm either going up to this area or down to this area. So that was gone. It was completely blown away. Who makes this TBM coasty? Oh, it's Hot Start TBM. It's over on the X Aviation website. Hot Start TBM. Yeah, I've got a yoke. And my yoke, still not completely satisfied with it. It's not like it was, at least that's what my perception is. I've got it calibrated right. But something's wrong with this. And I'm trying to figure it out. I had something like that in there before. So I'll have to do another flight and try that. But yeah, things were really mucked up. My roll is okay. I might tune it down a little. I had it just about perfect. Oh, my landing wasn't bad, but get all my websites from you. Yeah, xaviation.com. That was let's see. Yeah, see, it pauses the timer every time I do this. So I'm stuck here with this thing running. Just going over some of my other airplanes. There's the Zebo. There's the Aerobasky 1000. That's a good airplane, but it's a light version of a TBM is what it is. It's faster than a TBM, Oh, and it's got better views than the TBM. Look at the size of the dash. If I go in here, that dash is huge. Back to the list. This has got a big dash too. But it's got those engines. This is well done. It's pretty on the inside and it flies dreamily. It really is. A little hard on frames. Oops. Flight configuration. These are my favorites up here. And then I've demoted my Cheyenne. Mostly because it's summertime. And summertime means storms. And this one does not have any kind of working radar at all. So it sits, for waiting for winter to come, so where there's not so many storms around. It's fine in a warm front, but you fly into a storm in this thing, it will take you apart. I've had that happen. I actually got crammed with icing in it over Florida in the summer. I was up at like 25, 27,000 feet, and then I was going straight down, coated with ice, ended up leveling out at 5,000 feet, I think it was. And the PC-12, which is okay. And then I've got the PA-46, which is, I wouldn't recommend that on my worst enemy. That's new from Coronado. Always wanted to have a good PA-46, and that's not it. Oh, and here's the 350. So yeah. And I had 2 copies of this actually, because I had a modded one. Oh, I do. This must be the modded one here. There's an old school airplane, the Turbo Commander. That is a weird airplane. I got it. It's sitting there waiting for someday when I just don't feel like flying anything else. This is that new Hold My Beer SR-22. It's free. And then the Citation 2, which I've flown once. And I am not a fan of this Kodiak yet. There's some things wrong with the flight model on it. The other day, the hell of it, it's not fun in the sim either. I know. I did that. That's how I found out that you don't fly into the yellow parts, was in the PC-12. I was flying in South Florida down to Naples, I think it was, one time at like 10,000 feet. I flew into, it has weather radar. And I figured, well, whatever, I'll just fly through this. Not whatever. Man, that thing was everywhere. I got out of it and I just made a mental note, don't fly into yellow, and especially don't fly into red, but don't fly into yellow either. Commander Bob Hoover's favorite, yeah. It's not bad, it's just weird. I don't know if you've ever flown it, but the flaps are, it's not 10, 20, 30 or anything like that. It's wherever you want to set it. You want 5? Put it at 5. It's continuous all the way up and down. And I haven't quite gotten my controls set to where I can actually fly it. But, there's some real fans of that airplane. You were in the red. Oh my God. That must have been scary. That must have been really scary. Um, I didn't get into the red. Yellow is enough. So yeah, I pretty much have to have some sort of weather radar in any airplane I fly. Because I do Pilot Guy 707. I like to fly in hard IFR. I like to practice my instrument procedures. And I used to do that in the Cheyenne a lot. With that's got the 530 by default, and sometimes I fly it with the 530. Sometimes I fly it with the 750. I like both. Sometimes I think the 750 is like cheating. Kept hitting my head. Have your wife behind you with a book. Smack you on the head. If you run into icing, will it actually simulate the effects of icing? I don't know. I'll tell you this. Yes, it kind of does. Well, yeah, this one, it does. Um, you really have to have your inertial separator on if you're going into icing conditions. It will gum up your engine. It does get ice on the windshield. And it can't, and by the way, this one's got the, as far as I know, it's the only visual representation of, here, let me do this. Discard changes. I'll turn on the wing anti-ice here. No harm in that. It's this. And watch the wing. Let me turn the daylight on so you can see. And you can just watch the wing. Come on, don't make a liar out of me. I do have it on, right? Oh, I bet you it may be because I've shut the bleeds off. Okay, it's not going to do it, but this thing actually it expands. There's a ridge that shows up right along here to pop the ice off. Yeah, pneumatic boots. Yeah, I think it does. I've had that happen. I think even the Coronados do that. I've had it on several airplanes. And in fact, I remember the Cheyenne. That's how I knew I was in ice, is because I was actually looking at the windshield, and I'd never seen ice in X-plane before. And I was looking at the windshield at this stuff, and I thought it was some sort of a weird rain. And I kept looking at it. I said, "Is that ice?" And I swear it was 15 seconds later, and I was heading straight for the ground. That was pretty wild. Windscreens. Yeah, I know the boots. That, yeah. Yeah, I don't see them on, and that's probably, it could be because I'm not in flight. It could be because, well, it's probably that. They're pretty accurate about this stuff. Let's see, suppression mode. It's been 2 minutes, so I should be able to shut the engine down now. Have you ever forgotten to pressurize and black out? Yeah, in the Zebo I did that one time, I think, and nothing I could do could get it to pressurize in time for me not to pass out. I forgot to set the pressurization up there, and I think it happened to me in one other airplane, but I don't remember which one. Might have been this one. No, this one's automatic. It wasn't this one. Okay, that's annoying. Let's see, so I need to shut that off. Off. Off.
coming, crossing 10 Golf, hold shorter, 33 right, 1
Off. Off. Off.
Southwest 100, I think we
Off.
get into it.
Off. Off.
1233, let Southwest.
That's everything. No, that's not supposed to do that. So I've actually got views to where I can do a walk around to this airplane. So if I go, let's see, if I go here and is it that? There we go. And what did I do? I don't remember what the keystroke. Oh, is it here? Yeah, it's doing it backwards. It's supposed to go this way. Oh, now it seems it's just ignoring me is what it's doing. Yeah, this is the first one. And so, just like you would do a regular airplane, you walk outside and you do that. And then you can check the lights, check the condition of that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I've got the PC, I've got rep. There's, I wish they would provide an X camera version of the same thing. It's kind of a frozen view. But then, you know, we all want something, don't we? You know, it would be nice if you could just reach up and grab the aileron and just give it a shake. Good looking air sheen. Not exactly sure. One thing I'd like to see is, you know, when you look down asphalt or concrete runway and now the air sort of shimmers. I'd love to see that in the sim. You know, flickering lights in the distance. So far as I know, they don't have any filter that does that yet. Someday. But this is the freeware. This is the one I was talking about last night. This is the freeware St. Pete, and it looks a lot like this. It really does. You know, just like that. My son and I drove up here. Air machine. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is freeware on the .org. One of my favorite airports. Of course, I don't remember the glide slope hovering like this one's doing. Is that hovering? Or am I just imagining it? I'm just imagining it. It just looked like an optical illusion. Yeah, this is the ILS glide slope right here. And the localizer is down there. It actually bounces the signal off the ground and then up into the air. I used to write approaches for those. If I could figure out how to edit this thing, I'm going to put these trees in over here. Or whatever they are, bushes, trees. Tell by the shadows. Yeah, I might do that. Yeah, localizers on the departure end. Unless you're doing a back course. You know, obviously a back course antenna would be on this end. But, you know, you don't even see it. There should be one down here somewhere. And this is their primary instrument runway right here because it's got all the long approach lights. And there would be one down there, but they don't have it. It's a line of antennas that stretches across like this. Well, actually, no, that's part of the approach lights. And there's usually a shed just like this red and white one over. This is the antenna farm. There's usually a shed like this one out next to it. Usually. Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to be advertised to be used. You can't just sort of arbitrarily pick an ILS and fly a back course. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see where the ILS would be on this thing. It's not here on the... You know, it's usually about right here, but that's... I don't see any evidence of one. But it's there. In the real world, it has to be. My frame rate with Vulcan right here, sitting right here at 60. I've got a 2070 Super. I wonder what that's for. Don't let people drive around and go fishing, do they? Let's see. So, let me look at the airport. Looking at the airport, I'm down around 41. $56. That shows 25, 26. No, actually, it's 33. There's a little bit of... Vulcan's weird. At first, when you look at something, your frame rate will dip a little bit, but then it'll come right back up. And it's smoother. It's much smoother at like 21, 22 than it used to be. You know, like I could suffer with 21, 22, even though my 21 or 22 would always make my streams stutter. It doesn't make my streams stutter anymore. Here I'm sitting in the cockpit and it's 44. And but TBM is light on frames, so if I turn this back on,
Ground Southwest 1624, clear Delta, we're going to...
that dropped it down to
1624, ground taxi be at Papa Fox, Papa Echo
39.
Papa Echo Tango designate Southwest 1624.
Yeah, Vulcan, I mean, they've got a couple of bugs to work out, but I think they're getting close to release. At least on a PC they are. Oh, so you've got Vulcan too. Yeah, it is smoother. It is. There's no doubt. I think the three things I see different with Vulcan is, number one, it's smoother. Or two, the frame rate is sometimes better. If I go to Tampa,
Auto warning, okay.
so I'm still at 38 frames, 37, 38, even with all this stuff on. 39. Let me shut it back off before I run down my battery and then I have to charge it. But let me go to Tampa. Do you have Tampa? Let me go across the bay here. This is one of the harder airports I've got. Yeah, it is much smoother. It really is. Oh no. I hope this doesn't take a long time. Do not. Yeah. I'll show it to you here for a second. It's nice. It's by Vertical Sim. I like the Sarasota one more to me, but that's just me. I just like it. Can't say why. But I do like Tampa. I used to, here we go. This is nicely done. I'm sitting here and I've got 30. And looking that way, I've got 32. And this is with, you have Orbx Florida? This is with Orbx Florida. So Orbx Florida is tough. It is hard on frames. I mean, um, if you don't have Orbx Florida, you can get V-States Florida from Vertical Sim. That's free. But I mean, this is just beautiful. Yeah, you can get V-States Florida if you want a good scenery for Florida. You can get V-States. Just go to their website and go to V-States. But yeah, this is Tampa. Each of the terminals is different. That's not a terminal. But each one, if you look at it, this one's different than that one, and this one over here. They're all different. It took him 2 years to develop this. And that's the parking complex, and there's trains that go across this. And I mean, it's beautiful. He even has a free Tampa. So this is Orbx Tampa right there. But he's got V-States Florida and V-States Tampa, or V-Cities or something. This is the GA area. And all these hotels are part of the airport. And yeah, that's Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium right there. But yeah, very nice airport. I mean, look at that pavement. Yeah, I actually watched Captain Canada land recently. He was flying into Tampa. He had a lot of good things to say about it too. And he was flying V-States, and I looked at what he was looking at, and it looks a lot like Orbx Florida. Um, in terms of color and all that. In fact, I've got V-States. I've got about half of my states are V-States now. And I flew from down here somewhere, I don't remember where, it might have been Tampa, up to, I think it was Atlanta, just for the heck of it one day. And I looked down as I was crossing the line from Florida to Georgia, and there's a very faint line, and the color was the same on both sides of that line. It's very, if you weren't looking for it, you'd never see it. So it's well done. And he's done the entire United States, and it's free. Make a donation, but it's free. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I should show you the lighting of this airport. That's my favorite bit about this airport. I think he nailed the lighting. I don't know. I'll turn the lights down some more. Looks good like this, no doubt, but when you go darker, it even looks better. Talk about realistic lighting on a parking garage. And each of those floors is done on the parking garage. So, and if you so you can see the cars. You can see all the way through them. Pretty cool. Yeah. And I'm a sucker for Tampa anyway. I love going there. So my son went out here to Clearwater last year, went fishing, spent a week out there fishing, caught a bunch of fish, and just went all around this area. But Yeah, that's St. Pete Airport is where I just landed is, should be able to see it. Let's see, where am I? That's it right there. And then there's a smaller airport right over there. We sat there and watched the airplanes take off and land. But yeah. That's one of the coolest things about X-Plane. You can see all these places. And it looks really nice. I drove across this long, long bridge. Oh, yeah. I don't think you have to have an account to download VStates. It's free, and you just get it. I gave him a donation for, yeah, right there. Yeah, you learn SoCal by using X-Plane. Yeah. I mean and he just recently released SoCal for VStates. I've got Orbx, but a lot of people are saying good things about it. It's certainly lighter on frames than Orbx is. But you've got a 1080 Ti, right? If I recall. Seems like you told me that. I am a sucker for baseball diamonds, football fields. You're not sure what kind of video card you have? So I found him, folks. The one guy who doesn't know what his video card is, who flies an X-Plane. Yeah, there he is. We found him now. And I've walked all over this area down here. This is downtown. It's pretty. And where's that Air Force base? That's MacDill. Right there. Oh, you got an Alienware laptop. Well, then if you right click on your desktop, my son had it built. If you right click on your desktop and you bring up the NVIDIA control panel and you go to the help menu, you'll see system information. And it will tell you. I've got an Alienware myself, a laptop. Use it for work. Jimmy Stewart was there in Strategic Air Command. Oh, at MacDill? That's I thought that was a fighter base. You know, Strategic Air Command, that would be bombers. Of course, there's not going to be anything on the ground right now because I'm an X-Plane. Look at all those friggin' houses. Dear Lord. Right, not in 1957. I don't know what they had then. But they don't have, well, of course, in 1957 they didn't have the Christmas trees. I was at Robins Air Force Base, which had B-52s and KC-135s, and we only had one runway. It was 12,000 feet by 300 feet. It was massive, and actually went down in a vehicle, and we got out on the runway, and I just sat there gawking at how gigantic it was. I think you could play 157 football games simultaneously if you wanted to line them up side by side all the way down the roadway. I was sitting there on a midshift one night and calculated it. But down here we had a Christmas tree. This is runway 32, and would be if it was Robins. And so you have KC-135s and B-52s lined up in case there was an attack by Russia or somebody. There were pilots and crew in sleeping quarters here, and they would run out to the airplanes and take off in a hurry, like 30 seconds apart or something. 2060, that's a decent card. So yeah, that's a really good card. And is it an Area 51 Alienware? Yeah, right, SAC alert, yeah. We used to have a buzzer in the control tower, and if a SAC alert happened, it would go off. And almost every time we knew when it was going to go off. And all you could do was stand up and pull down they had a light gun in the tower. And you just pull it down and wait to see the first one come out, and you just start shooting them a green light, clear any airplanes out of the way, and just keep shooting the green light. Well, if it's an Area 51, if you close the lid, it'll say A51 on the back of the lid. Is it a skinny laptop or a thick laptop? They've got two different Alienwares. I like the thicker ones. There's an airport right there too. I think Stevie-O landed there one time. KCLW. There's Tampa. There's MacDill. Maybe it's this one. KTPF. All right, we'll zoom in here. Okay, somebody did a decent job on this one. You got a thick one, then good. You will be able to do much more than that than with the thin one. It won't generate as much heat. The thin ones generate a lot of heat. Yeah, and this is that looks like a Cheyenne right there, or King Air 90 or a Cheyenne, one or the other. That's a King Air 90. But this looks, I would fly into here just to see the boats. No, that's a King Air. They're both King Airs. Kind of a tight squeeze right there. Kind of tough to find a parking place here. Has a temperature, yeah, they kind of all do. If it generates a lot of heat, that's the problem I have with those skinny laptops, is if they start to get hot, which they're gonna if they're skinny, then the CPU slows down. So what's the point in having a high power PC, a high power processor? If it gets hot, it's gonna slow down. So it slows down automatically to manage its heat. Um, but yours won't do that, and um, you may be able to actually overclock yours. I actually was down here one time. Where was I? I think it was here. This is the hospital right there. My mom was in there. Yeah, yeah, because I stayed at a hotel over here, and I used to drive across this to get there, across this. It's a nice hospital. Your kid must be a hardware whiz if he knows it to order the thick Alienware. Not a cheap machine either. Yes, I am. I think that's the hotel I was in. There's a weird bridge right there. There's a really cool park right down here. Not cheap, I just pay the bills, yeah. Yeah, that's a good laptop. He's getting married next year. Wow. Finally. I'm not going to ask how old he is. My son's still here. My oldest son is still here. But he's content, and I like having him around, so it's okay. $32. Okay, my son's got a ways to go yet. Daughter is 19. Yeah, I've got a daughter in college. She's going to UNC Wilmington. It's great because she's going to be a psychologist, so I get free therapy. Whether I want it or not. Don't analyze me. This is a really nice park right down here. It's little, but it's really nice. Wife doesn't want them to leave, though. Yeah, I know that feeling. I sure do. Or your daughter? Don't know what she's going to do yet. She's 19. It's tough for them. They're growing up in a world and trying to find their place. Where's that airport? Oh, there it is. So if you were in one of those skyscrapers, you could see the airport from there. Biology. San Diego is a big bio industry. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I watched Finding Nemo, but that was a different place, wasn't it? That was up in Monterey. They have that big, marine biology thing. It was Finding Dory where they had that marine biology thing. Second film was up there, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we actually watched that a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Again. Gotta get more scenery. Like I said, these V states cover a lot. You know, it's weird to me because, I mean, in a way, you know, you go up, you know, it doesn't look that awful good down this low. This is Florida SD. I had HD installed, and it was taking too long to load. And by the way, I just got a script today from the Orbx. Well, of course, well, it may help you. I don't know. You, if you maybe not. I don't know if it, but but Orbx Florida used to take forever to load, like on the order of 5 or 6 minutes. So I would start it loading and just sit and do something while it was finishing. And today I got a new script that works with um, the Vulcan, and it loads in like 20-30 seconds. So if I'm tempted, I could. Of course, I've heard that there's a frame rate hit, and once you pass 6,000 feet, it doesn't matter anyway. If I go up to 6,000 feet, then any benefit you get from, I mean, the only benefit you get from HD is it is below 6,000 feet. So that's about 1,000 feet right there, maybe a little higher. God, stop hitting that. Let's see, where's the shift key? That's probably 2,000, 3,000. Okay, so that may be about 6,000, maybe a little higher. Maybe. And then once you get so high, then you don't get any benefit from it anymore. And I spend almost all of my flying life above 6,000 feet. Yeah, yeah. I mean, even in the friggin' DA-62, which is really the only non-pressurized airplane that I have right now. Um, I always get up around 9-10,000 feet, 11. You know, and that one does have oxygen, so you can go up to like 18 or 20, I think. But yeah, even if you have HD, it just, you know, it reduces its resolution once you get this high. So you're just taking up memory without any real use of it. Yeah, so the Z-bow, if you happen to look down while you're taking off, you may notice it briefly, but it's only going to be a few seconds before you're up above 6,000. But I mean, look at that. That's the SD version. Isn't that great? Like I said, with V-States, when I saw Captain Canada flying above V-States, I was looking at his ground before I knew it was V-States, and I was like, does he have Orbx Florida? And he said, no, he had. Somebody asked the same question I was thinking, and he said, yep, that's V-States. I was like, really? I still like Orbx Florida, but V-States, if I didn't have it, V-States would cover it. And you don't have to futz with ortho for XP, which takes a long time. Yeah, so that looks so realistic. And the clouds, have you noticed that the clouds are different in Vulcan? They've made a change. No, I have not. Funny you should mention that particular airport. I have watched so many videos of airplanes flying into Nelson. I will, I mean, that's one reason why I got a turboprop. And I don't know that I would necessarily fly a TBM in there, even though I might. Why not? All those other turboprops I have in my list. ASXP, not sure. Let's see, I don't think ASXP has that much control. I think it tells X-Plane where to put the clouds, and maybe gives the characteristics of the clouds, but it doesn't really control the shape of them. Not with when you, and I'm just using X-Plane clouds. But I've looked at they come with a set of clouds, and they're last time I checked, they were pretty awful. Nelson has some draw. I just don't know what it is. I take the PC-12. Yeah, the PC-12 plays in there a lot. What else? I've seen Cheyennes fly in there. I think I saw Turbo Commander fly in there, which I've got. I've got all three of those airplanes, and I just need to go up there and put the ortho down. I've got ortho for XP. I just need to go up there. It's up in the northwest. I looked it up on the map, and me and another guy were talking about actually doing a group flight up there. And yeah, I am going to do that. I'm going to load, the King Air, and I've got that too. Let's see a trend going there. I am going to do that. I'm going to, once I get V-States done, which will probably be this week, I will extend my ortho up to Nelson, a little further north. It's a challenge, yeah. Pretty scary departure. Taking off right at a mountain. But yeah, I've watched, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 videos of airplanes flying into Nelson in the winter even. Pretty scary. You see them come into view from behind a mountain, and they make that turn. And there's a freeware Nelson on the .org, and it doesn't look too bad either. I think I downloaded it. I just haven't gotten up there yet because I don't have the ortho. I don't want to do it until I get the ortho. Yeah, there's some up. Yeah, that's going to be something to do. This is the time of year to do it too. I generally avoid the north in X-Plane, partly, for a couple of reasons. I like warm weather myself, and there's no snow in X-Plane. I think snow is always overdone in a sim, but there's no snow, not even brown grass. But it's like when it's wintertime in Prepare 3D or in FSX, it's like the whole ground is covered with snow, which is never the truth. You know, it's always snow melting, you know, large patches of something. Some areas are just cold and have no snow at all. And like Chicago, I've been up in Chicago in the winter. There wasn't and I used to live in New Jersey. We'd have snow sometimes. Not, you know, sometimes for a month and a half, 2 months. Not all winter. But that was rare. Some winters we didn't have any snow at all. Lately, that seems to be the norm. I haven't been to Syracuse. Been there in the winter. I used to live in New York. Actually in New Jersey. But I used to go into the city every day, but I never went upstate, not once. So you could just load up X-Plane and not do any flying at all, just do this stuff and just learn the area. It's like a big Google Maps. Is that a lake? Your dog's always peeing. Yeah. Anyway, have a good night. Have a good night. I hope you have a good night. I'm going to go upstairs and see what my son's doing. Maybe we can put something on TV. I think it's just, I don't know if that's, yeah, looks like a lake. All right, have a good night. I'm going to sign off. Tell your dog I said hi.